I never knew how much life imitates art, as they often say. But while developing this podcast and speaking on the various things that I talk about, like mindset, motivation, and letting go, and also going with the flow, life often has to test your own resolve. Almost like, do you believe your own BS? Quite literally, I have been getting kicked in the teeth in ways that only my journey can teach me a lesson. Here's the thing. I do believe in my teachings and I do have resolve, but that doesn't mean that I'm not human. And it doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes. And I have to go back to the drawing board and I have to recalibrate and do the deep work on myself in order to be able to move forward. It's a process and it's a journey. And I have to take the challenge to be better and not bitter, because it's only for my good and not for my harm. So I implore you, if you're listening to my podcast, to never be afraid to go within and to search for the answers. It will be hard and it will be painful, but it's necessary for the change and for the growth. My gift is my voice. And through my experience, I will use every bit of what has come my way to help any and all those that need a little bit of motivation and some encouragement. You're tuning into the Hustle and Grit Experience. I'm your host. My name is Prince Williams, the real Prince Williams, and I'm here to help you flow and grow and expand your mind so you can live a hustle and grit lifestyle. If you like this content, I want you to comment and then share my episodes to all those you think would benefit from this knowledge. The title of this episode is Life Has to Test Your Resolve in Order to Give You Resolve. Life is about disappointments more than it is about achievements. So you have to be strong and you have to have resolve to get a better understanding of self and let life happen for you and not to you. So stay locked in and enjoy the discussion, because we're going to get right into it. Here's a few lessons of life that will help you navigate the twirling winds that can pop up in times in your life that can test your deeper levels of resolve. To understand the darkness, you have to also understand the light, and vice versa. This is part of the yin and yang philosophy, in that everything there's an opposite force. This force has to be in balance, and at times, because the universe is always trying to keep things in a natural flux, it can seem very chaotic. To be truly good, one has to also know what it is to be truly bad. You know, this is an oversimplification, but it holds true every single time. There's a powerful American general called Mad Dog James Mattis that once said, I want you to be polite, I want you to be professional, but I want you to also have a plan to kill everybody you meet. What he was suggesting is that you have to toe the line, because often things are blurred because of some of the gray areas that people deal with because of their perspectives, but really aren't absolute truths. So things can go south very fast. And it's often be prepared than not to be prepared. In war, it is thought to be better for you to know your weapons than to not know your weapons. Than when you're in the middle of the war, you're trying to figure it out in the battle. So in order to know your weapons, you have to be able to use those weapons and learn how to use those weapons effectively. So when it comes down to it, you're not trying to figure things out. This is knowing the darkness, but being in the light. And of course, no civilized person is going to stay in the level of darkness unless you're a sociopath. So most people are nice until pushed beyond what they're capable of bearing. There's a saying that you should creep like a mouse, but have the jaws of a lion. Essentially, what this is saying is the quieter you are about your movements, the more effective you are. This is moving in silence by definition. No one needs to know your moves except you. Think about this for a moment. When you run your mouth about every detail of what you want to do or you're trying to do, and you think it's positive, you never truly know what people's intentions or feelings are about you. They can be envious, jealous, and also very spiteful and looking for a reason to sabotage you. This can also backfire by others wanting to take your plan and your ideas and use it for their own means. So you have to have the discipline to maintain some quiet confidence and get to the objective and the goal, and only reveal it when you're ready to present your masterpiece. And then at that point, it takes everyone by surprise without all the interference. This is the part of having the jaws of the lion. See, the lion doesn't always roar, but when it does, it is felt deep inside and highly effective at causing fear and intimidation. You want to be so inconspicuous that you're fighting a war that's already been won before people even know there was a battle. The most powerful people say less than what is needed because they know the more you say, it leaves you vulnerable to saying something less than ideal or something foolish. The more you try to impress others with meaningless talk, you tend to seem less confident and less control of yourself. A man that cannot control what comes out of his mouth is a fool and is not worthy of being respected. This in itself is a powerful statement because who wants to seem like they're out of control and have less value just because the words they're speaking comes out without any thought? This is the point. Most people speak without any consideration of what they're saying. This is irresponsible, and at best, it isn't the best effective way of communicating. People value what they cannot have. So it's the same as in speaking. If you speak less, it makes it seem like they have less of you and your time, which creates more value. So this brings me to another valuable point, that you should never be afraid of the qualities that set you apart. I mean, you are more than enough. And this is important for you, not only for healing the deeper parts of your psyche, but also helping you deal with the externals of life that may come your way. When you're mistreated, abused, mishandled, or attacked in any way, it is stronger and coming from a place of strength to have the internal fortitude, never to let them see you sweat. If, in fact, you have the attitude, I do not need to please anyone but myself, which is in essence being true to yourself, you can have attention drawn to you, whether that attention is positive or negative, and it doesn't even matter either way. You're not swayed either way. You truly can stay neutral in the face of superficial admiration and not get caught up in the way people see you or see your value. Your value isn't up to people or the critics that is judging you. Your value is in knowing that you are in control of your expectations. This will gain you more respect and attention in the long run. And even though you're not seeking the attention, I want you to gain this perspective. This is how knowledge works. It's counterintuitive, but it's effective. This makes you mysterious and creates that intimidating aura that surrounds those people you know who have mastered this about themselves. Although intimidation isn't the goal, because aggressive people are rarely in control of themselves and they're rarely able to see past a couple steps ahead. This is because the blinders of an aggressive person, they have the scales on their eyes, both spiritually and physically. And in order for the scales to come off their eyes, You have to be able to discern what is real and what isn't real. For a better interpretation, we should give our attention to what we should give our attention to and take our attention away from those that don't serve us. In most cases, our definition of effective knowledge is wrong, and power is often misplaced. People often mistake aggressive action for effective action. To be truly effective in communication, problem solving, it pays to fall back, keep calm, and let frustrations of others make critical mistakes. You always want to be thinking several moves ahead like a chess game and keep your opponents guessing or on the defensive. It's all about making the other person react to your moves while you're staying in position. This is the mastery of your emotions. This makes you seem larger than life without even trying to be that. See, you're taking action without having to act and watching things unfold naturally as they should. So how does this relate to you having resolve? This relates because the point of the matter is to have healthy relationships with yourself and others is only makes sense for you to focus on you. This is about self-love and self-care. This doesn't mean to be self-centered or you don't have the ability to take others' perspectives. But self-love is about loving you first so you can have the ability to love others. If you can't love yourself correctly, then how can you love others with any kind of long-lasting respect? What gets us in trouble, myself included, is the people-pleasing. This often takes shape in many forms and is not what you think. This could be you not looking out for your best interests, or it can take the form of worrying about what others think of you. And what I have trouble with sometimes is trying to be perfect and make it seem like things don't bother me or I don't have any faults and I do everything right. And this is essentially validation seeking, and it rears its ugly head at the most inopportune times. And most times it's so ingrained in our subconscious that it comes out before we even have a chance to think about the consequences of our actions. This is why you have to pay attention to self and think about what you're thinking about, because that's what brings the awareness. Awareness is the key to understanding our triggers and gaining a broader perspective of the bigger picture that's happening around us. Remember, I said we have to remain grounded and neutral in our demeanor so we can remain unchanged under duress. This takes practice, of course, and I'm not perfect. No one is. This is about having resolve, and life will show you things and bring things into your spirit to test your resolve in order for you to have resolve. Think about this. We only have so much energy, and this is the law of energy in versus energy out, which is stated in the law of thermodynamics. You should never waste time on energy on things that you cannot control. This is a trap. It can wear you out physically and emotionally, leaving you with nothing in your own tank. If you really want to be effective, you have to feel and truly believe that everything works out in its own time. That way things seem effortless and you feel powerful. And this is what is the ability for you to command a certain amount of respect. It is said there is nothing to be gained by the associations of those that infect you with their misery. This being said, your resolve is what will guard your heart from these kind of attacks. Not that these are always intentional, and sometimes people's opinions are well-intentioned, but a little misplaced. Other times people are unaware or just don't care and project their biases onto you. If you aren't careful, you can easily find yourself in a situation to where you're taking on the beliefs of others that aren't your own. And this is why you have to be careful of the circles you run in, because Not everyone is for your journey, and not everyone can conform. Many things can become infectious over time, so you have to approach the situation with a strategy of calmness in your spirit. So it takes the sting out of the enemy's bite, so to speak. Bruce Lee has a popular saying that you have to empty your mind. Essentially what he's saying is you have to be formless and shapeless to life and go with the flow of things. The only true way you can accomplish this with any effectiveness is you have to know fully who you are. This is knowing thyself and also knowing your why. If your mind is empty, there is no reason for it to want to force anything. The best action is at times no action. This is still a form of action but it takes the form of inaction. The trick is you made a choice not to act. That was a choice. And so you actually made a decisive action. The power struggle begins when you want to do something that is not yours to own. So most times it's best to conserve your energy and walk away. Do not argue with fools, because from the outside looking in, no one can tell the difference who the fool is. Life is very strange at times, because what you think in the moment is the worst thing ever could be very well the best thing that's ever happened to you. Not to say that the situation doesn't hurt, but temporary pain for long-term growth is in a great exchange and a payoff. Sometimes it takes the pain of rejection to bring things back into reality, that you have to love yourself first. When you can let go and empty your cup, you will find the answers to the questions. This is often the time where you can do the most self-growth. How else would you know what to work on if you aren't faced with some kind of obstacle? There's an author in a book who wrote a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It gives numerous examples of people in history and modern times that have turned what seemingly is a bad situation into phenomenal results, or transformed the adverse situations into something meaningful and beautiful. How many couples come up against struggles in relationships as long as they have resolve and take the time and make the effort in the relationship those relationships become more beautiful than before. It takes trusting the process and believing in self and respecting perspectives, but making sure that your needs are met first. Many couples don't make it because they turn bitter and cold, and they never find peace within themselves and search within to find out what part they played, so they can make the changes that they need. So instead of resolve, they get dissolving of the relationship. It's not easy looking within and emptying your cup and letting things go, so you can rebuild what is broken. It holds true for many relationships, even outside of the romantic relationships. Even though we are independent, we still need to form lasting, healthy relationships with oneself in order to keep the ones that are important to us outside of ourselves. This is a natural law, because even in nature, even though you have independence of species, everything is still interdependent on one another in a system. If one of these pieces is out of balance, so will the whole system be out of balance. Although you may feel the full effects of this, you may not see the full effects of this immediately. You will see in the long run through chaos. Chaos is nature's way of bringing things back into balance so it can flourish the way it was intended. Nothing is certain to stay or leave, and that's the beauty of life. And with nature, it's okay. You have to have some resolve to say it's going to be fine. Whatever happens, this is nature. Allowing nature to take its course, however it's going to happen, is how you take the stress off of your life, and so you can start living your life. I'm not saying this is easy, because human nature is resistant to change and wants to control the external as much as possible to keep what they think belongs to them in their grasp. Here's the key. Nothing external is truly yours. The only thing that you can truly control is your internal states or your mindset. Your mindset should be I'm okay if it stays. I'm also okay if it goes. But because we fear the unknown, we are afraid to let go. And this only causes us undue hardships and pain. This is growth. And this is allowing life to test your resolve in order to give you resolve. So I just want you to think about this, to meditate on it, and incorporate it into your life. I want to thank you for listening to my content. Please share and tune in for more information, empowerment, and motivation. Remember, I'm here to help you expand your mind so you can live a hustle and grit lifestyle. I want you to flow and grow. And until next time, I salute you.